Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, eating clean, drinking more water, choosing fruit over junk, and yet something still feels off? Because here's the uncomfortable truth for millions of people. The body doesn't fail loudly, it fails quietly. And nowhere is that silence more dangerous than in your kidneys. What if I told you that by the time a routine lab number looks just a little high, you may have already lost a shocking amount of kidney function without pain, without warning, without a single symptom to alert you? That's the emergency no one talks about. The danger isn't obvious, it hides inside everyday habits. You trust foods you've been told are healthy and reassurances that sound comforting, but arrive far too late. And this is where the story takes a turn because fear alone isn't the point. Clarity is. If you're listening right now, it means there is still time. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what's quietly overloading vulnerable kidneys and, just as importantly, what can protect them. Simple choices, clear guidance, no extremes. Because sometimes the smallest decision you make in the grocery aisle can become the moment that changes the future of your kidney health. Stay with me. What you're about to hear could stop damage before it becomes permanent. Before talking about which fruits protect your kidneys, we have to confront an uncomfortable truth. First, some fruits can quietly make kidney damage worse, especially when kidney function is already compromised. The problem isn't that fruit is bad. The problem is that weakened kidneys lose their ability to safely process certain nutrients that healthy kidneys handle with ease. Potassium, phosphorus, and even natural fruit sugars can turn from allies into hidden stressors when filtration capacity declines. I've seen this play out countless times in clinic. Patients tell me, "Doctor, I stopped eating junk food. I eat fruit every day. I'm doing everything right." And I believe them. But then their labs come back and potassium is climbing, phosphorus is creeping up, fluid retention is increasing, and they never felt a warning sign. That's what makes this so dangerous. Kidney stress doesn't announce itself with pain. It accumulates silently. Take potassium, for example. Fruits like bananas, oranges, melons, and mangoes are often praised as heart healthy, and for people with normal kidney function, they are. But in weakened kidneys, excess potassium can behave like an electrical overload. Blood levels can spike within hours, increasing the risk of abnormal heart rhythms, sudden fluid buildup, and even emergency hospitalization. And the most frightening part, you won't feel it happening. Then there's phosphorus, a mineral that hides inside many fruits and processed fruit products. When kidneys can't excrete phosphorus efficiently, it begins to harden blood vessels and accelerate kidney scarring. Add natural fruit sugars on top of that, and you ignite low-grade inflammation inside kidney tissue, an environment where decline speeds up instead of slowing down. Science confirms this risk. Research shows that in people with reduced kidney function, repeated potassium elevation can raise cardiovascular complication risk by up to 40%, while chronic phosphorus overload accelerates progression toward advanced kidney disease. Yet most patients are never warned because their numbers often look only slightly elevated. This is why so many people unknowingly harm their kidneys while trying to heal them. It's not ignorance, it's missing information. And once you understand this disconnect, everything changes. Because the goal isn't to fear fruit. The goal is to choose the right fruit in the right way for the kidneys you actually have, not the ones you used to have. But understanding what harms the kidneys is only the first step. Because once you remove the overload, there's one fruit that does something completely different. It gives stressed kidneys room to breathe and begins stabilizing again. Why apples quietly become one of the safest and most powerful fruits for vulnerable kidneys begins with a simple fact most people never hear when kidney function declines. It's not sugar or calories that do the most damage. First, it's potassium and phosphorus overload. This is where apples change the game. Unlike bananas or oranges, apples are naturally low in potassium, which means they don't force weakened kidneys into overdrive. Instead of triggering stress, they create breathing room, something injured kidneys desperately need to survive. I remember a patient named Robert, 58 years old, who came into my office exhausted and defeated. His creatinine was creeping up, his phosphorus levels were out of control, and he told me, "Doctor, I feel like no matter what I eat, my kidneys are losing." He had already cut salt, reduced protein, and stopped eating most fruits out of fear. What his kidneys needed wasn't another restriction, it was relief. I asked him to do something that sounded almost too simple: Eat one whole apple every day, skin included. 3 months later, his labs told a different story. His phosphorus dropped noticeably, inflammatory markers fell by nearly a third, and for the first time in years, his numbers stabilized instead of climbing. The reason wasn't magic, it was pectin, the soluble fiber concentrated in apple skins. Pectin acts like a molecular sponge in the gut, binding phosphorus toxins and metabolic waste before they ever reach the bloodstream, effectively giving the kidneys a backup filtration system. Science supports this. Research published in the American Journal of Kidney Diseases shows that diets providing 25 to 30 grams of soluble fruit fiber, daily levels apples directly contribute to can improve phosphorus control by up to 23%. Long-term population studies also reveal that people who eat apples regularly have a significantly lower risk of developing chronic kidney disease. Add to that the antioxidants in apple skins, such as quercetin and chlorogenic acid, which directly suppress kidney scarring inflammatory pathways, and the apple transforms from a snack into a strategic intervention. One apple a day, no supplements, no complicated rules, just consistency. But here's the critical part: apples only protect your kidneys on the surface level. They reduce burden, they calm inflammation, and they buy time. But knowing this alone isn't enough, because there's another fruit that doesn't just protect the kidneys, it shields them at the cellular level where real damage begins. Apples reduce the burden on your kidneys, but protection alone isn't where the real battle is won. The next critical step happens deeper at the microscopic level inside the filtering units themselves. That's where blueberries quietly outperform almost every other fruit. They don't just sit safely in your diet, they actively intervene where kidney damage begins. I once worked with a retired school teacher named Susan, 64 years old, who had done everything right. She drank more water, cut sodium, followed her doctor's advice, yet her GFR kept slipping. Out of fear, she had eliminated most fruits entirely. "I don't want to make things worse," she told me. That fear is common and understandable, but it was also holding her back. I asked her to add just half a cup of blueberries 3 to 4 times a week. Nothing extreme, nothing daily, just consistent. 6 months later, her labs stopped declining. Her inflammatory markers were noticeably lower, and her kidney function stabilized for the first time in years. What changed wasn't luck, it was chemistry. Blueberries are packed with anthocyanins, the compounds responsible for their deep blue color, and these molecules do something remarkable. They cross into kidney tissue and calm inflammation at the nephron level, where scarring and decline actually start. Scientific evidence backs this up. Research published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found that anthocyanins can reduce kidney-damaging inflammatory cytokines by up to 47% in a matter of weeks. That's not cosmetic improvement, that's cellular protection. Blueberries also improve insulin sensitivity and stabilize blood sugar-reducing microvascular damage to the kidney's delicate blood supply. Even small drops in blood pressure, just 4 to 6 millimeters of mercury, can translate into meaningful reductions in kidney disease progression over time. What makes blueberries especially powerful is their efficiency. Fresh or frozen, they retain nearly all of their protective compounds. No prep, no supplements. Just half a cup added to yogurt oatmeal, or eaten on their own. Think of apples as your kidney's daily relief, and blueberries as their cellular shield guarding the filters before damage becomes permanent. But here's the part most people miss. Stopping inflammation is only half the equation. Even if you calm the damage, weakened kidneys still need help repairing what's already been injured. And that brings us to another fruit one that doesn't just protect but flips on the body's internal repair switch. Calming inflammation is powerful, but it doesn't complete the story. Once kidney damage has already begun, protection alone isn't enough. At some point, the body needs a signal to repair. That's where red grapes quietly step in, doing something most fruits simply can't. They activate the kidney's internal recovery mechanisms instead of just slowing the damage. I think of a patient named Anthony, a 71-year-old grandfather who felt like time was working against him. His creatinine had been rising slowly but steadily month after month. He told me, "I've cut salt, I drink water all day, and I've stopped eating fruit because I'm scared of potassium, but nothing is changing." What he didn't realize was that by avoiding the right fruit, he was missing a crucial repair signal. I suggested something modest, a small handful of dark red grapes, 2 to 3 times per week, eaten whole with the skin. Within months, the shift was unmistakable. His inflammation markers dropped, his energy returned, and for the first time in years, his lab results began moving in the right direction. The reason lies in a compound concentrated almost entirely in grape skins, resveratrol. This molecule activates a protein often called the body's longevity switch, helping kidney cells repair DNA damage, stabilize filtration, and quiet chronic inflammation that accelerates decline. The science here is compelling. Studies published in nephrology research journals show that resveratrol-rich foods can improve markers of kidney function by up to 20 to 22% over several months. Dark red and purple grapes are especially potent, containing several times more resveratrol than lighter varieties. Add to that their high water content, over 80% hydration, and red grapes support gentle toxin removal without forcing the kidneys to work harder. The key is restraint and consistency. About 15 to 20 grapes 2 or 3 times per week is enough to create what I call a repair pulse, small repeated signals that accumulate over time. No juicing, no peeling. The skin is where the power lives. But here's the critical truth. Even activating repair isn't the final step. Because there's another factor that continues to sabotage kidney health in silence, deep lingering inflammation that repair alone can't dismantle. And the next fruit targets that problem directly. Even when repair mechanisms are switched on, there's still one hidden enemy that can quietly undo all that progress, deep lingering inflammation trapped inside tissue. This is the kind of inflammation that doesn't show up as pain, doesn't respond quickly to diet changes, and keeps creatinine stubbornly elevated. And this is exactly where pineapple becomes surprisingly powerful, not as a sweet treat, but as a targeted therapeutic tool. I worked with a patient named Carlos, 63 years old, who described his body as feeling heavy. His legs were swollen by evening fatigue, followed him all day, and his creatinine levels refused to come down despite medication and dietary changes. He told me, "I'm doing everything they told me to do, but I don't feel like I'm healing." Instead of adding another restriction, I suggested something simple and specific: half a cup of fresh pineapple 2 to 3 times per week. No canned fruit, no juice, just fresh pineapple, including a bit of the core. Within weeks, the swelling began to ease. His energy improved. And when we repeated his labs months later, the numbers finally shifted in the right direction. That change wasn't accidental, it was biochemical. Pineapple contains bromelain, an enzyme concentrated in the fresh flesh and core, known for its ability to break down inflammatory proteins that lodge deep in tissue and prolong kidney stress. Clinical studies show that bromelain can reduce inflammation markers associated with kidney damage by as much as 40 to 42%, making it one of the few natural compounds capable of penetrating inflammation instead of merely dampening symptoms. Pineapple also delivers nearly 80 milligrams of vitamin C per cup, reinforcing antioxidant defenses that protect kidney cells from oxidative erosion. And unlike many tropical fruits, pineapple remains relatively low in potassium, making it safer for compromised kidneys when portions are controlled. There's one non-negotiable rule here: fresh only. Canned pineapple loses most of its bromelain during processing and often adds sugar, exactly what stressed kidneys don't need. But when used correctly, pineapple acts like a gentle internal cleanser, helping reduce swelling, ease fatigue, and support creatinine control without forcing the kidneys to work harder. Still, even knowing which fruits protect repair and calm inflammation isn't the full picture, because the final and most dangerous factor isn't just what you eat, but how you combine these choices into a daily rhythm that either saves your kidneys or silently accelerates their decline. Before we close, I want you to hear this clearly. If you're watching right now, it means you still care, and that already puts you ahead of where most people are when it comes to kidney health. You're not behind, you're not failing, and you're certainly not powerless. Kidneys decline quietly, yes, but they also respond quietly to the right support. Small, consistent choices matter far more than perfection. One better food choice, one less burden, one habit repeated week after week. That's how real change begins. My honest advice is this: don't try to fix everything at once. Start where you are. Choose one kidney-friendly fruit. Pay attention to how your body feels. Stay hydrated. Reduce what overloads your system and give your kidneys the space they need to recover. These aren't extreme measures, they're sustainable, realistic steps that protect your future. If this video helped you understand your kidneys better, please save it so you can come back to it whenever you need a reminder or reassurance. And if you want clear science-based guidance on how to protect your kidneys, lower creatinine, and slow decline, naturally subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Each week, I share practical medical insights designed to help you make informed decisions about your health without fear, without confusion. Most importantly, remember this: your kidneys are resilient. They've supported you through years of stress medications and life's challenges. And when you give them the right support, they respond. Healing isn't instant, but it is possible. Stay informed, stay consistent, and keep taking care of yourself. You're doing more for your health than you realize, and this journey is far from over.